Hi everyone, I'm Nicola from Elimee Designs. We're a crochet pattern based in the UK, and I thought I would take the time to create our first vlog post to show you things that I've made recently, things that I'm halfway-ish through making, and things that we have planned. Now, not everything that I show you today will be from Elimee Designs. Some are things that I'm making just for myself, some are sewing rather than crochet because I do love to do both. But hopefully you'll have fun looking at everything that's going on. Okay, so if we start by looking at things that I have finished recently. So my grandmother kindly gifted me lots of this chenille type yarn that she had bought from Aldi. And bar making sort of little baskets and things to put stuff in, I really had no idea what to make with it. Made a few baby blankets in the past, and so I thought, you know what, let's have a go and make another one, but this time make it a little bit more interesting and use one of the Elimee Designs patterns. So, making sure that I hold this the right way up. Hopefully you can see this even if you can't see me. So this is one of the squares from the Mariposa Butterfly blanket by Elimee Designs. I only made the one square because I was aiming for a pram size blanket, and obviously using such thick yarn there was no need to make multiple squares and join them together like I had with the original blanket that I made. Now, I don't know if you can tell, I am currently pregnant and due around Christmas, so if it turns out that this little bump is a girl, then I'll be keeping that one for myself, but if not, just like a lot of my other blankets, I'll be gifting it on to one of my friends. So I used the yarn in cream, as you can see, and rose, and I had one packet of each, so they come with 4 100-gram balls in a packet, and as you can see from my hefty bag here, I still have quite a lot left and could easily make another square. So the second thing that I wanted to show you was our latest pattern release. So this is the Aphrodite corner to corner blanket. It was made based on the Aphrodite cushion cover that we made earlier in the year, but I loved the pattern so much, which my adorable 5-year-old designed for me, that I decided to make it into a blanket as well. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to get all of this on camera because I can't really move much further back. It's quite a large blanket that I made, but I will add a photo to this video if you can't see it very well. So again, trying to make sure that I get this the right way up. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to see the whole of the heart in one go. So we'll definitely be adding a photo so that you can take a closer look at that one. So I made this one using Stylecraft Special DK in Empire and White, just because I had those lying around in my stash. I had bought them to fill up my basket when I needed some free delivery and just fell in love with the Empire colour, and I thought that the white went nicely with it. The last thing that I have finished recently that I wanted to show you were some Dodgy bags that I made. Now, I am a huge fan of the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast on YouTube, which my lovely friend Hazel from my crochet group introduced me to. And one of her recent things was the Dodgy bag mal. Unfortunately, I did not have time at the time that the mal was running to take part, but I love the idea of using up what's in your stash. Doesn't really matter if it coordinates that well, doesn't matter if your sewing's not quite perfect, just see what you can make and then decide what to do with it. So I started out, because I have like 1,000 pairs of jeans that need upcycling, making a pair of pouches from upcycled denim. Please excuse my cat. So this one I put a pink contrasting zip in, and I used this lovely owl, I don't know if you can see the owls very well, owl fabric on the inside as the lining. And the smaller one, I used a purple zip, and again I used that lovely owl fabric on the inside. Now these were all just things that, well, jeans needed upcycling, and the owl fabric were just remnants that were sat in my scraps bin waiting to find a project or be recycled into stuffing for something else. I have made one more that I won't show you yet because I have embroidered it, my first attempt at embroidery, to gift for a friend when I see her. Next thing I decided to do was to make some drawstring bags. Now these are still lacking the drawstring, I made a load of these last year for storing my kids' toys. So things like the wooden puzzles, bricks, you lose the boxes or they get trampled on. And trying to find all of the pieces is a nightmare in the million and one different places that kids like to hide their toys. So I decided to use up some of my fat quarter stash to make some of these. And as I said, it's a pattern I've used before. I'll pop the link in the description below, so in case you want to have a go. Now these weren't my favourite fat quarters, just because I was using it just for further toy storage, rather than the beautiful ones that I'm sure I will use closer to Christmas. But there is one that has leaves on it, that's quite a big one. And this is an Aldi fat quarter. I used the whole fat quarter just for the one bag. And then the second one, again, I used the whole fat quarter, has some blue roses on it. Now, I don't think they're selling this fat quarter pack anymore. These were my least favourite fat quarters out of that bundle, but there were some much nicer ones. The last bag that I made is already being in use for one of my current whips, which I will not be showing you today. A little bit of a surprise coming. But this one was slightly different. So I made a zipper pouch again, but used two different fabrics. So again, this part, the denim part at the bottom, is some upcycled jeans. And this part at the top is what was left over from my Waves and Wild kindling dress that I tested earlier this year. So I bought it from the Sewing Cafe, which is a local shop here in Hinckley. It's a lovely cotton poplin, but I did add a little bit of interfacing just because the denim was so thick. Now, slightly regretfully, I did use just a boring blue zip. I do wish I'd gone for a bit of a contrast retrospectively, but you know, we live and learn. And I used this lovely Russian doll fabric that I had left over from a bag that I made for my grandmother's birthday, I think maybe 2 years ago now. So nice to get rid of some of the stash that's taking up lots of space in my very messy crafting room. Now, moving on to things that I have in progress. So I'm not going to show you any of my Elimee Designs patterns that haven't gone through testing yet, because I do want to keep those a surprise. But the first thing I wanted to show you are my socks. Now, a little bit of a story behind my socks. So I promised my husband maybe 2 years ago that I was going to crochet him some socks for Christmas. Like many, many crafters, I like to make lots of handmade gifts at Christmas, and unfortunately took me far too long to make all of the things that I had planned, and my poor husband got left at the bottom of the pile. His socks did not get made. So in the run up to last Christmas, I was like, okay, you're the priority. I will make you this pair of socks. So I made the first sock from this pattern that I found online. I believe, let me just double check, it is the Patterns Croy socks, which is a free pattern you can find on the Yarnspirations website. And made it in this lovely JC Brett Snuggly Feetz yarn, and made the first sock, go, here, try this on, and it was far too small. I discovered after trying it on myself that if I ripped the toes back a couple of inches, it actually fit me. So I kept that one for myself after I had altered it, made him some new socks, getting him to try it on a very regular basis because I did not want the same thing to happen again. And then tried to make myself the second sock and ran out of yarn with literally about 2 inches of the toe left to do. So been keeping my eyes out for this yarn. Unfortunately, it's no longer being sold anywhere. They've discontinued it. I've tried going on destashed groups, but I've been unable to get hold of any. So I decided, you know what, let's buy some new yarn. Let's make myself a new pair of socks. And whatever's left I can make the toe with, because let's face it, nobody's gonna see it under my shoes. So the yarn that I chose is this. Now, I was in a bit of a bad mood when I was shopping in town and decided to cheer myself up. And when I walked into the shop and saw it, I was like, you know what? I owe myself a pair of socks. So it is the Stylecraft Head Over Heels yarn in the shade Guatemala. As you can see, I'm just starting the heel on this second sock. Yes, I managed to get into the second sock without too much trouble. And it is a self-striping yarn that comes out with all of these lovely colours. Now, the first one, apologies, I have not sewn my ends in yet. I do tend to do it at the end. Has turned out like this, which I think is just amazing. Now, I do really enjoy making this particular pattern. I've only made a couple of different crochet socks previously, but I really thought this one was good once I knew the sizing. So I have decided to make some socks for my best friend as well. Now, she asked for a pair of socks for herself and a matching pair for her adorable little daughter last Christmas. Again, I ran out of time, busy making my husband's socks that time. So I decided to make hers starting now, you know, plenty of time for Christmas, plenty of time to meet up and get her to try them on to make sure that they fit. And I'll make her daughters closer to the time because obviously with her being only a few years old, her feet are going to grow between now and then. So this is her sock so far, and oh my god, don't you just love those colours? So this is the ball of yarn, and this is the one with still got the label on it, the West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in Rum Paradise. Now, again, I went into one of my local yarn shops, different one this time, to buy a couple of balls of yarn to finish actually my Aphrodite corner to corner blanket, and was browsing looking for some yarn for my upcoming autumnal scarf. Didn't quite find what I was after, but did spot that yarn in the sock section. Didn't have enough of what I wanted, so I even ordered it in just so that I could make those socks, because she asked for a bit of a rainbow and I thought that was perfect. Another self-striping yarn where I don't have to change the colour 50 million times. And I don't think that having too many knots in your socks is going to be awfully comfortable. So hopefully she will like that when it comes. The next thing I have been working on, so what with being pregnant, unfortunately my underwear does not fit as well as it did at the start of my pregnancy. And shop bought fabric for underwear. No, that's completely wrong again. Shop bought underwear, I will get this right. A lot of it has that elastic on it to hold them up. And unfortunately that tends to cut in where the bump is. So I'm making some Waves and Wild Wonder undies. Now, I have made this pattern before. I usually go for the slightly higher waisted option, but this time to fit under the bump, I'm gonna try the low waisted option. And again, trying to do a little bit of a stash bust. So I'm using lots of scraps, lots of things that are left over from other projects. And so they might end up looking a little bit random. I will put some better photos on the video for you to see, because at the minute it's all pinned together to start sewing. So the first pair, I am using this lovely rainbow jersey from Harvey Jacobs fabrics. And this was what was left over from making a beachcomber for my eldest. Didn't quite have enough for all the pieces, so I do have a bit of random shark fabric in here. Again, left over from making some leggings for my daughter and her best friend for their birthdays, I think last year, because they wanted something where they would match each other. And I think that one was from Little Darling Fabrics. I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that one. The next pair, now this is absolutely hilarious. I've got this lovely rainbow leopard print fabric that is left over from my husband's superhero boxes, again from Waves and Wild. I do love making their patterns. Bit brighter than I would go for usually, but it's my underwear, no one's gonna see it. And I went for a nice solid pink to use to make up the fact that I didn't quite have enough. So the solid is from Harvey Jacobs again, and the leopard print, let me just double check, is from Little Legs fabric, although I believe this particular pattern of the leopard is currently out of stock. Okay, so next pair, not too interesting, another pair of the rainbow ones. I've already shown you some of that, and I actually had enough for a whole pair on that one. And then my last ones, so the main fabric is this blue flower fabric that I got in a mystery bundle from Little Darling Fabrics. And again, didn't quite have enough for the back piece, so that's a solid blue from Harvey Jacobs Fabrics. Now, when I got it in the mystery bundle, this blue flower fabric, I was a little bit like, not quite to my taste, and it was supposed to be a kids bundle, so I was like, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use this for. But when I was, again, in the run-up to Christmas and doing lots of sewing, my daughter picked it out of my stash for her Christmas dress. Looks absolutely amazing on her. I made her, I think it was a sweet pea dress from Ellie and Mac. If I can find a picture, I will show you. And that was enough that was left over to make, I think, the front and the lining of the pants, but not quite the back. So one more whip that I wanted to show you. So this it's my first attempt at hacking a pattern because I have never designed a shrug. Probably won't be releasing one anytime soon. But I did make something called the Caitlin Zigzag Blanket. So that was the first pattern from Elimee Designs back last year when we launched. It's a pattern that is free to all of our Facebook group members, and I've used it for so many things. Aside from making lovely blankets, I've also made it into scarves, which my girls wore last year for winter, and now I'm making it into a cocoon shrug for myself. Now I use this lovely mushroom colour from Stylecraft Special DK, and as you can see, it's got lots of zigzags on it. Now I have done already the ribbing to go around the edge for the sort of main part that goes around here, but I haven't done the sleeves yet. I know I pinned it all together with some stitch markers. I really need to get onto that. Purely because I haven't decided how deep I want the ribbing yet, whether I just want a small piece of ribbing just like around the neck, or whether I want it to go all the way from my elbow to my wrist, because my elbow is where it sits at the moment. It's not a really thick one because I made it out of DK rather than Aran yarn. So I'm wondering whether to make it short sleeved and how kind of have it for that in between summer and winter, so when the seasons are starting to change. But I do love long sleeve jumpers, so yeah, comment below and let me know what you think I should do. Maybe I'll actually get around to finish it, although at the moment we are in the middle of a heat wave in the UK. Probably not as hot as it is where you are, but very hot for me, who is definitely more of a winter person. So the last thing that I wanted to share with you today is some of the other pretty things that I have found in my stash whilst doing all these other projects that I want to make something with. Some I have plans for, some I'm definitely going to need your help, so please comment below if you can think of a great pattern that this would suit. I don't mind who makes the pattern, if it's free or it's paid. If you think I should pair it with another yarn to make enough, to have enough yarn to make the pattern, please, I'm racking my brain trying to find what I want and struggling. So the first one, I already know what I'm doing with, and this only arrived this morning because I took advantage of their July sale. Yes, thank you, online shopping. I do try and support the local businesses, but when there's a massive sale, I got 40% off going online. Why not? So this is some of the JC Brett Twinkle yarn. Now this is in shade TK8. I think online it was just called Silver. And I'm thinking of using this to join the squares of the Christmas blanket that I'm currently making. Fingers crossed I get to release it before the baby's born. The main squares of the blanket are being made in Stylecraft Special DK in midnight blue and white. So I thought adding a little bit of sparkle, I don't know how well you can see the sparkle here, might just give it a little bit of a zing because my daughters have both asked for Christmas blankets. So fingers crossed I have time to make them one each. The next thing, now these are the ones that I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with. So when I left my last job at the start of this year, they were absolutely fabulous. My admin buddy, Leslie, came up to me and said, I'm in charge of spending your leaving money, but I don't know what you like. What would you like? She goes, I can't just go into a shop and buy you loads of yarn because I only know that you crochet. And I was like, oh yes, you can. I will be more than happy with lots of crochet related goodies. So one of the things that they got me are 2 balls of the Hayfield Spirit chunky yarn. It just says shade 400, so I'm not quite sure what this colour is called, but I can't decide what to make with it. I'm not sure whether to make a scarf or a hat or maybe 2 hats, or whether to pair it with something else and make a little bit of a blanket. Let me know what you think. The second one, again, they want me 2 balls of this, is the Hayfield Spirit, but in this lovely pink colour. So this one is DK rather than chunky, and is shade 0412. Don't know why they don't have nice pretty names like some of the other ones. But again, I'm just not quite sure what to do with this. Now, my eldest daughter is a huge pink fan, so anything kid orientated, gonna get your bonus points. The last one, technically there is a project that is planned to go with this. I'm just not an expert at amigurumi, shall we say. I made a doll for my eldest when she was little, just one of those kind of stuffed things that she really loved. Looks awful in retrospect, but I was a very novice crocheter at the time. Since then, I've made a couple of ice cream narwhals where the horn is an ice cream cone upside down as part of a craft swap in one of my groups. I've made a few of those. I've made a Pikachu. I've made a few bits and pieces, but nothing too intricate. So I have no concerns about the crochet part. It's the assembly, and worst of all, trying to put a face that looks half decent on it where I seem to fall down. Now again, another one of my leaving gifts was this amazing book. So this is the Frontline Heroes book by Cedar. I hope I'm saying that right. And they bought me the yarn to make the doctor and the nurse on the front. So obviously we have had COVID recently, and don't know if you know, but my day job, I do work in healthcare. So I thought this was really sweet and appropriate gift. And they actually bought me all of the Cedar Happy Cotton minis to make those two characters. I do have a whole bag worth of little minis, which came in this lovely crochet bag, project bag that they got me. No idea where it's from because it was a gift. But yeah, perfect for storing some of my projects. So let me know what you think I should do with that yarn. If there's anything else you want to know about anything that I've shown you today, please just comment below and I will do my very best to respond in a fairly timely manner around the small people and the day job. I aim to do another vlog in about a month, just to let you know where I'm at with my projects, show you where we're going next. But in the meantime, happy crocheting.